We're designed for that connection with water. I really believe that. Like there's so many neuroscience studies and things about the way our brains and bodies react when we're close to water.
That was Tiffany Barwick, also known as Midlife Surfista on socials. A self-described fully stoked begin-termediate surfer based in the San Francisco Bay Area, who began learning to surf at 40 years old, just 2 years ago. Among many other things, we talk about her lack of fear of the ocean, tackling the more unusual obstacles to learning to surf, and why Tiffany keeps coming back to the big wave risk assessment group meets. Welcome to the Wipeout Weekly, the daily podcast for beginners, wannabe surfers, and seasoned wipeout enthusiasts. No hype, no filler, just the highs, lows, and honest truth about learning to surf and finding your place in surf culture. I'm your host, Suze Wilson. Let's go out. You know, the last time we had a person in the studio was Matt Warshaw, who wrote A History of Surfing, an encyclopedia of surfing.
Oh,
yeah.
I haven't read that, so that sounds like one I need to bookmark and check out.
Yeah, did you read anything on surfing, or did you just
I have. No, I mean, yes, and I did dive straight in, but as soon as I was like, this is my thing. Like, of course, I like to hyperfixate. I kind of just dive down the rabbit hole, and I'm looking for any resources. So it's like every surf movie anyone could recommend, every surf, eventually podcast. I was actually late to the podcast listener game. So, but I've been binging yours to just,
I do apologize for these tiny episodes of 5 minutes.
Okay, I am a learning specialist. Like, this is my day job background is actually learning and development, people performance, training, onboarding, and things. I love your short format podcast. That is micro training is what people actually remember. We have shorter attention spans of goldfish nowadays. So I approve 100%. Ignore the haters. That's my opinion. If you want to listen to me.
Love it.
Some
Love
do,
it.
some don't.
Okay, so how did you get into it? Because you're hyper fixated on surfing,
I did.
But it must have come from somewhere.
So I have always loved the water, but I grew up landlocked. I am from Lexington, Kentucky. I spent some of my childhood in Dallas, Texas, but both of those places far from the ocean. Wasn't a family that took nice vacations every year or anything. Like at best, we drove to Nebraska to visit family, which was still fun. But I did not see the ocean until I was 22 years old. Yeah, but it was love at first sight. And this was Jacksonville, Florida, Jack's Beach in Jacksonville, Florida. So this is not even the most amazing beach, but it's kind of nice in hindsight. I'm like, cool, you set my expectations, low enough that now everything is impressive and amazing. So I love the water, love the ocean, but just didn't get to grow up around it. Nowadays everybody's talking about different types of privilege, pretty privilege, whatever. And ocean privilege is a thing.
Oh, it totally is.
Access to the ocean is a privilege that I am now super blessed to have. I am so excited that I now live just a short distance from the beach and I can be at the ocean every single day. Not everybody gets that. And so that's one of the things that's really close to my heart is people who, like me, kind of grew up without that ocean privilege and later on realize I got a lot to make up for. I got a lot of lost time, that a lot of stuff I need to learn in a short amount of time so that I can fully enjoy this. But I feel like I've already done my little ADHD thing and gone off topic a lot.
I was actually thinking whether I was landlocked, but not literally, because I could get to the Baltic Sea. I'm from Poland in about 10 hours, but there's no surf there.
Yeah.
And it never even occurred to me until, I moved to the UK and then eventually came here, discovered surfing, went back to the UK and started surfing. But
yeah,
same.
That was the original question, wasn't it? How did
you get into it?
So I moved to California almost 10 years ago now for mine and my partner's jobs. But the Pacific Ocean, especially up north where I live around San Francisco, it's really cold.
Yes, it is.
And the waves get really big and crazy. Mm-hmm. So I was like, well, this is beautiful, but it's clearly just for looking at.
That's how I feel about Mavericks.
which is now 10 minutes from where I live. Stories about that we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I lived in California for a solid 7 years before I even really had anything come into my brain that me surfing was a possibility. I've talked about this some in my videos on Instagram, but I've undergone a pretty big fitness and weight loss transformation over the last few years.
I totally want to talk about this.
Awesome. I think I'm ready to talk about it. This is one of those things that like, it's a little sensitive. So I've been like, wait, am I ready or is it just too soon to talk about this publicly? But I think I'm there. I think I'm ready. But for a long time, I couldn't fit into a standard wetsuit. If I walked into a surf shop and said, hey, I want to take a surf lesson, I was above a size 16 women's at that time at my heaviest weight. And this was like all coming out of COVID lockdowns and all of that. I put on a lot of weight going through grief. I lost my mother during that. So, it just wasn't accessible. Not in California. If I lived in Hawaii, sure, I could have put on a bathing suit and hopped on a surfboard. And God, I think that's amazing. I love the women who are doing that. But I clearly didn't fit the stereotype of the traditional surfer. And while I would watch movies, and of course, I'm one of those girls that grew up in the south of the U.S. and saw Blue Crush long ago and was like, oh, I want that. But didn't think it was actually in the realm of possibility. I ended up moving to California, working in the tech industry, which of course meant I burnt out.
Don't we know
multiple times. So one of these occasions when I burnt out, I took an emotional wellness day, which I rarely ever took those. But it was finally one of those days I had no choice. I had to. I drove myself out to Pacific Estate Beach, or Linda Mar is the daily name that I'm used to. And it's now my local. It was kind of raining that day. It was a November day. And I looked out and there were like 5 or 6 guys out in the water. One on a stand-up paddleboard, a few on surfboards. And it just looked so peaceful. Later, I learned that that's not always the case. But at that moment, I was like, yes, I want that. I had already started going through my weight loss journey at this point, which started with strength training. It wasn't giving me the results I wanted. So I did actually end up going to have the gastric sleeve surgery. I had weight loss surgery. So that was a big part of the journey too. But at this point, I'd lost maybe 40 pounds. I could finally fit into a size 14 or a 12. So I was ready. I walked into the surf shop, was like, all right, I'm ready for a lesson. I need to rent a wetsuit, rent a board. Let's go. So I booked one for the very next day. And I was like every other first-time beginner student. I had no idea what was going on. But I put on the wetsuit. It fit. Walked out into the water. And it was a nice, calm day. We even had a little rain that day. So I still consider rain good luck. But walking out in the water, it was just like instantly I was like, oh, this is okay. Not only is this okay, like I feel like this is where I was always meant to be. Like I feel so at peace stepping into the Pacific Ocean, like despite how cold the water is. I got my neoprene. And yeah, that day the surf coach, did the standard. He pushed me into a few waves, taught me how to do a pop-up. I had to do a modified pop-up because I didn't have the mobility yet to do a standard, like jump straight to your feet pop-up.
I still don't have it, so here you go.
It's, you know what? I'm still working so hard on it. Like, I feel like once in a while it clicks, but like half the time my natural clumsy nature just kicks in and it's hit or miss. Consistency is still low. But that's it. That was history. I got in that first time, was like, I think this is for me. Like, that's crazy, right? Like, that doesn't make sense. But I feel like this is what I want to do. And so, yeah, I took a few more lessons after that. Started when I was on trips. I was like, oh, I'm close to an ocean. Are there surf lessons? And kept doing it. And then made some friends who surfed and found some people to paddle out with. And eventually found a surf coach, too, because I realized, like, again, being a learning person, I was like, all right, I'm doing some stuff wrong here. I'm picking up some bad habits. I have a lot of questions. Nobody's able to clearly answer for me. So ended up working with some great surf coaches along the way. And it's just my passion now. It's taken over my life.
I'm trying to think whether I felt like this when I surf for the first time, but I cannot even remember. All I can remember is that the instructor told us, do not paddle, do not paddle. And she's like, what are you talking about? I don't know. That was his way of teaching in Porthcawl, Wales. So when you started surfing, how often did you start going out and having lessons? I'm just curious about how quickly you managed to progress and how often you were actually in the water.
I would say to start out with, it was pretty slow in the beginning. I was a weekend warrior to start. I had those couple of lessons. I got my partner to go out and take a lesson once. He's from Australia, so you would think he'd take right to it, but the cold water is not for him.
Oh.
He still loves the ocean, will still snorkel, things like that. Loves, if I'm like, hey, let's go to Hawaii, he's like, yeah. But when it comes to surfing, he's like, nah, I'll swim. I don't like getting smacked in the face by waves and tumbled through the washing machine. I love it.
I like it too. I mean, like when it's, small, I enjoy it. Like a little somersault. It's fun. But no, like out there, no.
There's even there's a limit, obviously. There's an upward limit. I don't want to get too crazy. I don't have a death wish. But even some of like the, 6-8 foot days, getting spun around, I'm just like, this is just the ocean playing with me. It's like one of those dads that just throws their toddlers around like crazy. I'm like, the ocean's just playing with me.
So you don't have the fear. You don't have the fear of the drop. You don't have the fear of being tumbled and ragdolled.
That's a really great thing to discuss. Because there's something in my body and my mind, which I think is a good thing. I figure this is an evolutionary thing to protect me. There's still a hesitation sometimes. But in general, and actually, this is a great point. One of the first things I did, 2 or 3 months after I started surfing, I took a big wave surf apnea course. I was only surfing in 2-foot waves.
Yeah.
But I took a surf apnea course, which taught me a lot about our respiratory system, how long we can actually hold our breath, and how long our bodies actually have. It varies person to person, but several minutes.
That's good to know.
Yeah, 4 minutes. And do you know how long the average wipeout is, even in pretty big waves, like head high to double overhead?
Isn't it seconds?
It's 15 seconds is a bad wipeout. Now, if you get caught under the water for multiple waves, that gets scary. And that's where the guys that are surfing, Mavericks or Nazare, obviously they're training to hold their breath for 4 minutes, which is pretty crazy. Not a lot of people do that without blacking out. But in my case, doing that, learning more about how my respiratory system is operating and what my body's capable of in terms of holding the breath has helped a lot. And, again, for my anxiety brain and burnout and all that kind of things, just learning all of the box breathing exercises has helped way outside of just surfing. But being able to be under the water and just relax. I actually, the first surf apnea instructor I had, Ricardo Taviera, he has a way, he's Brazilian, and his chant while you're doing your exercises in the pool is enjoy. I still have his voice in my head every time I'm underwater.
Enjoy this wipeout.
You don't need more air. Enjoy. When you get those diaphragmic contractions that tell you your body wants to breathe, it's not necessarily time you have to take a breath yet. You've still got quite a while at that point. That, again, is an evolutionary adaptation that is there to help you. But mind over matter kind of thing. You can continue through those contractions and remind yourself, I still probably have 95 to 98% oxygen saturation right now. I can continue to hold my breath.
So are these trainings similar to freediving training? With holding your breath.
There are similarities. There's definitely some differences. But yes, and actually I haven't yet. When I go back to Hawaii, one of the things I want to do is a freediving lesson, which terrifies me. Actually, I would much rather take a big drop on a wave than dive down under the water deep with only my breath to count on. That still kind of freaks me out.
I think you're going to be well prepared for that.
I probably felt the same way before I took the first surf lesson about surfing. So I'll do it anyway and make sure that I have guides that I really trust to not mislead me.
Okay, we were talking about the fear, that you don't have it? And do you have any fear of the drop and like how big the wave is?
I would say yes. There's definitely a point, especially because if it's very steep. I think there's a big difference in the wave shape for me.
Totally.
Especially at this point. Like in the beginning, if it was over 3 foot, I probably wasn't going to take it. I tried to be as aware as I can of my limits. It's such a balance to try to find like, where do I need to push myself out of my comfort zone without going too far? So for me nowadays, like 5-6 foot wave, there's still something in my brain that wants to hesitate. What I love is when I have my friends around me that will tell me, go, 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 that will kind of push me on and hopefully I'll make the attempt. And again, because I love the wipeouts, because to me, it's just Mother Ocean playing with me, tumbling me, roughhousing with me a little bit. And I'm enjoying the hold down. That helps me a lot with the fear. A little different when we're doing this over shallow reef or anything like that. But I'm usually on a beach break where it's sand bottom. So I'm like, yeah, let's just go for it. I'm sure I'll end up okay. Got my board control, so.
Does anything in surfing actually scares you?
The people.
Oh, God, yeah. The people are the worst.
I grew up in the southern U.S., so I don't know if it's my natural personality or just the one that I was trained into via culture, but I'm not particularly aggressive, and I don't like to get yelled at. I am a people pleaser through and through. Surfing has been an amazing tool to try to overcome some of those behaviors, I will say, because it's a very selfish sport. You have to learn to assert yourself or else you'll never get a wave. And with that, I don't like getting yelled at by the locals, the agros, those kind of things. So, on the one hand, I'm real good at being polite and making friends in the lineup. But I also, I'm also the one that hesitates on making the move that might piss somebody off.
So are you assertive in the lineup or are you just holding back?
I would say I'm learning to assert myself better, especially as I've continued working on my skills and I'm a little more confident in some of them. Like I'm a little less worried that, hey, I'm going to completely blow this takeoff. It helps also when I'm at home. If I'm at my local break where I know a lot of the people around, like some of them are going to give me some grace when I'm learning, when I miss something. It's harder when I'm visiting someplace and I'm worried about like, oh, somebody's going to like come up and say something to me for wasting the wave. I listened to one of your episodes talking about that. It's like, there will be more waves.
There always will be more.
There will be more waves.
I know. I think was it Eddie or was his brother Clyde who said that? It's just let the man have a wave. There's going to be more waves.
Yeah.
So what was your least pleasant experience in the lineup and where was it?
Ooh. There is a spot that is just a little bit north of Santa Cruz. I won't name the spot. It's not that secret, but I went out there with some friends of mine recently, and we thought we were going to Pleasure Point, so we had longboards with us. And it was a small day, like not critical waves at all.
That is next to?
That one's right next to it. We were a little further up Highway 1, the PCH. And I don't know if I'm using the right lingo since I'm in SoCal right now, but we just call it Highway 1 up in NorCal.
Well, it's PCH here, but
it's still technically part of
we
that.
will allow it.
All right. I appreciate it. I might accidentally drop a hella into conversations too. I'm very like assimilated to my NorCal residency now. But so I was at this spot that's just slightly north of Santa Cruz. And we paddled out on our longboards because, again, it was a pretty small day. Some of the waves were still pretty steep, but that's actually something I know I'm more likely to catch the wave and make the drop on my longboard a lot of times unless it gets like super, super steep. So I'm more confident and more likely of success on that, even if it's waves that normally people would not do on a longboard. But my friend and I were the only two on longboards. We had one other friend there on a shortboard, and It wasn't even me. It was my friend that got into this conversation with a guy who wanted to go for a wave. It was a left. He was trying to go up to the right to get over it and out of this guy's way. For some reason, this guy didn't think he got out of the way far enough or something. But he just started yelling like, I've been surfing here for 40 years and this is not a beginner spot. You need to leave right now. And I mean, just wouldn't drop it. Went on and on and on for the entire rest of the session. Just every chance he got, he was chirping at my friend, who all the other surfers around were like, dude, you didn't do anything wrong. He was trying to go left on a right. You paddled to get around him. You went the correct direction. Like, you were getting out of his way. Like, I don't know what his problem is. But it went on for the rest of the session. Funnily enough, this is also, a part that's in the red triangle. We're getting close to Sharktober. We ignored this guy, and we're not going to be chased out of the water by that attitude because, again, my friend had done nothing wrong. It was longboard prejudice, I think. But I look over and I see a flock of seals. I don't know if that's the right group collective pronoun, but a group of seals.
I love a flock of seals. We're going to, we'll
going stick with that for now. But if anybody listening wants to email and let us know what is the correct
flock of seals
collective
is actually
noun
called.
Yeah. But there were like 7 or 8 of them that just started GTFOing. They were just beelining away. And I was like, you know what? I trust those locals. I'm getting out of the water now. So ultimately, I left because I'm like, if the seals are leaving, there's a big shark close by.
That's very, very smart. That's not such a bad story. And it wasn't even you. You didn't get
It wasn't even me. I was just secondhand, like, receiving the tension of this situation, and just somebody ruined the vibes for everybody.
No.
Yeah.
How do you feel about surf aggro, just generally? So unnecessary, right?
I just want to give them hugs and ask what their childhood trauma is.
I just don't get it.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's waves for everybody. I don't have any problem with respect for the locals. Like, yeah, I'm visiting. I'm going to defer to you. Like, even today, paddling out at Doheny, which is a beginner spot, but still, I'm like, I'm not just going to paddle out to the peak and take every wave or take the first wave. Like, I'm going to sit out there, smile at a couple people, say, hey, how's it been going? How's your morning? Did you get any good rides? I'm going to try to make some friends, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to, prioritize. And I look for the time when, like, cool, everybody else just went on that first wave in the set. Here comes the second wave.
Course.
Nobody is on it. Perfect. It's my turn. And that's kind of how I think about it. Like, yes, I will be deferential to locals, but I get really frustrated with those that just backpedal everybody else. And, there's enough to share. Everybody just wants to enjoy the stoke.
I feel like we're so lucky here in Venice Breakwater specifically, because I've never had any issues apart from this morning when a guy specifically his board almost ran me over because he didn't wear a leash.
Yeah.
But it happens. But everybody seems to be pretty nice, and I think what happens is that the better the waves, the more the aggro. Because Venice Breakwater is absolutely fine and is great for beginners, and there's a lineup. But everybody knows what they're getting themselves into. This is not Pipeline, right?
Yeah.
But Pipeline, or even some of the breaks on Oahu, you've been to.
I've seen them.
They can get a little bit more contested.
And to that point, especially as someone who's only been surfing for about 2 years, 2 very hyper-focused, dedicated, obsessive years, beginner surfers need to get the information to know their limits.
They do.
I am also a huge advocate for ocean safety. And especially as someone who didn't grow up around the ocean, I wasn't exposed to this in my childhood. I didn't know how to spot rip currents and things like that beforehand. Certainly didn't know that rip currents can be a good thing for surfers.
Oh, yeah. Easy way out.
Yeah, exactly. I love my little Uber ride to the lineup. But that's actually something that like I have a real heart for is like, where's the access to this information for people? There's some great things online, but also as a learning and development person, like that's my background. That was my day job for 20 years. Just internet information, just watching videos isn't always enough. Like there's some things you need hands-on skills practice. You need to go to the water with someone who knows what they're talking about, who can ask you, do you know what's happening here? Mm-hmm. Can you point out where's the wave breaking? Where's the channel? Can you tell where the rip currents are? Can you tell me who's got the peak for this? Who's in the right position for this wave coming? And give that immediate feedback. And I don't see that being prevalently available. Some surf coaches are fantastic about working with their students to inform them of these things. But I also took a lot of surf classes where all it was the Instagram, like, let's get the photo up and send you on your way. We'll push you into the wave, get the photo, you're good to go. And not giving people that context of how the ocean works, how to keep yourself and others safe, and, you know, etiquette, surf etiquette, and how that actually works.
I don't think surf etiquette is being taught at all. I mean,
Not nearly enough.
Venice, there's so many schools and so many instructors. You barely ever see an instructor letting people know where they should look, how they should walk out with their board. They're just like, they take them out, push them onto the wave.
Yeah.
Done deal.
Well, and especially thinking about those early days for me, it was overstimulation to the max. Mm-hmm. You don't know what you don't know. And like trying to absorb everything that's going on, especially at a crowded beginner beach, to try to sort out like, where can I go? When should I paddle? I can't even stay balanced on my board. What's going on? It's so much. And I wish it was more accessible for people who are really dedicated and really passionate about learning to surf to work with a coach on a regular basis for their first year or two so that they can learn, really, this is how to be a successful surfer going out there on your own or just, you know, with a friend without a coach. Like, these are the things you've got to know, the skills you've got to master to be able to know you're in the right spot and to know when, hey, it's not your turn. You should stand back and let that person go. And I mean, one of the biggest things for me is I just, again, with my Southern deferential personality, I'm like, when do I get to go? Sorry, it's not a fake accent. That's the accent I grew up with, but
I love it.
When do I get to go? When is it my turn? And it's like, unless I had a coach there saying, paddle, go.
Yeah, your turn.
I just assume it's not my turn for the longest time. So like, I did not get a lot of repetition in my first year.
It would be wonderful if every surfer who's beginning the journey could afford a coach.
Yeah.
And do this, 3 times, 4 times a week with a coach. And I think we would progress so much faster. But because that is not necessarily possible and everybody is, flocking to the internet, YouTube, and Instagram. And I see so many conflicting pieces of advice.
Oh, it
which
drives
me crazy, absolutely crazy. I'm like, I'm not saying that I know what to do. What I'm saying is that a person who is being given all of these pieces of recommendation, like how can they possibly decide which ones to take on board?
Yes, like around surf etiquette as well as just even technique. I've worked with so many different surf coaches now, and I found some that I really love that are amazing. A few of them. I've got recommendations for California, Hawaii, whatever. If you need some, send me a DM. But there's also a lot of them out there who will tell you the way that worked for them. Mm-hmm. And that's the way to do it. And especially as someone that came into this, like, not super fit, not super athletic. My body was capable in different ways than like your standard surfer. I needed some modifications. And I think that's a lot of us. Like, people who are like, oh, no, you can't pop up that way. That's the wrong way to pop up. It's like, did I get to my feet and catch the wave?
Okay, so maybe it was a tiny bit slower.
Yeah.
But I'm riding it, right?
And there's so many, like, I've got friends in the adaptive surfing world. Mm-hmm. And they are ripping. Like, they charge some amazing waves. One of my friends, actually, who I'm going to go see in Ensenada tomorrow, she just won world title for adaptive surfing. Yeah, Barbie Garcia. So congrats to her and big shout out. Super excited. Can't wait to celebrate with her. But there's so many different ways to surf. There's so many different ways to commune with the ocean and enjoy it and have that stoke and to flow with the ocean. I think that all of those deserve some room.
If you could advise people who are getting into surfing right now, how they should go about it, starting from take a first lesson, or even if a person is thinking, should I go on a surf vacation because I am landlocked, or should I just go to a local break and try it there just to see if I like it? What do you think that journey could or should be?
Could or should. I think there's multiple ways to do it. This is actually something I contemplate a lot because with my background as a course creator, developer, an instructional designer, what's the best way to learn something is always on my brain. I think there's different ways to go about it. I think to start with, safety first should be the main thing. I don't advise just go to Costco and buy a wave storm and paddle out. Oh, someone's going to get hurt.
First of all, you cannot get a wave storm at Costco anymore. You cannot even get a Jerry Lopez at Costco anymore. Now we've got Scott Burke.
Scott Burke.
But
okay,
I don't know what that's for the next season either.
Or whatever you can buy on Facebook Marketplace. Oh, that's even worse because some people are going to go out and just buy the cool looking, Lost shortboard or something for their first time out. Oh my goodness. First off, for beginners, bigger is better. You're going to be tired at the end of your session. Your shoulders are going to burn. So get a bigger board that paddles more easily and is more stable for you to catch the waves. I think any surf coach worth their sauce is going to say something to that degree. But if you can get help, get help. And I would recommend go to a qualified surf coach who has expressed when you talk to them, when you correspond with them, that they are about teaching people the fundamentals of surfing and surf etiquette and ocean safety. I would ask them about those things. What's your take? Tell them your goals. Tell them, I just want to get the Instagram photo. If you're in Waikiki and that's all you want is something to put on your Instagram page where you're, on the wave, cool. There's a market for that. There's people that do that and can get that for you. But if you want to learn to surf, this is your thing, your sport that you want to start learning to get better at and to do on a regular basis and be confident to go out on the ocean by yourself, find a coach who aligns with those goals. And it's yes, I'm going to give you the tools to help you do that. I'm enabling, not just pushing you into the waves.
What if you cannot afford a coach?
Ooh. See if you can find a mentor. There are, we talked about the agros already. Mm-hmm. There are people in the surf world that grind my gears, but there's also some of the most beautiful people, giving people who are just so excited that you're stoked and dedicated and will be so excited to share that with you. So if you can find those people by going to your local surf shop, by going to, I actually made a lot of connections early on in my community by finding a Facebook group for beginner surfers in my area. For me, it was San Francisco Bay, NorCal area. That's where you'll find a lot of the folks who maybe have 40 years of surfing experience and they see it. And, I've had other longtime career surfers who are I love beginner surfers because they fuel my stoke. The things that start to get mundane, boring, routine for me, it's when I'm around the beginners who are just oh my God, I just caught my first wave and this was the most incredible thing I've ever experienced in my life. That fuels their fire. And there's so many of them that are giving and willing to help with that. One thing after that really helped me was, again, I went to my surf shop events and things like that. And I found another girl who had started surfing close to the same time as me. Actually, a couple of them that were just as stoked as me and obsessive and hyper fixated. I found my sister, my SEA-ster. Yeah, in Spanish, mi hermana del mar. Yeah. So we still surf together a lot. But just having that other person who's just as stoked as you and is going to go out, it's safety as well. Always buddy system. But that's also motivation. The days when you go there and you're like, I'm not feeling it. I got yelled at yesterday. I don't want to paddle out again today. It's too cold, whatever. Usually one of you will stoke the other one.
Mm-hmm. You talked about being hyper-focused on surfing for 2 years. How often did you go out surfing during those 2 years, like every week?
I do as close to every day as I can. That the exceptions, the things that will stop me from surfing are physical injury. I've got a couple bruised ribs and a sprained shoulder right now.
We're going to talk about that.
Yeah. And ocean conditions. You know, I did take some safety courses and things like that. Big Wave Risk Assessment Group was one of them that I just did this past weekend.
This was the second time you did it as well.
Second time I did it. They let me come back. I was so flattered that they invited me to come back again. You know, because I'm a small wave surfer at this stage in my career. Like the best I do is head high, and I prefer double over toe. I like my ankle slapper days. But yes, they invited me back. I learned so much from that. So I feel pretty confident now when I look out at the waves and conditions of going like, cool, I can handle this. If the ocean does put me in the washing machine, she's just playing with me. Or looking at that going, oh, hell no. That's not for me today. That's not for me today. I'm not going to put myself in a position where somebody else has to risk their safety to save me.
So you said almost every day for 2 years?
Almost every day. Yeah, either with the exceptions of some days when I am injured or the ocean says no.
I think that explains a lot because I've been surfing for the past, 18 years. But living in London and going and trying to surf in Wales or in North Devon, even every weekend, that's not really surfing. And even since moving here, I probably only started surfing properly more in the last year. And before that, it was San Francisco and going to Bolinas.
Yep, I love Bolinas. I've only been there a handful of times because it's still a little bit of a drive for me.
Such a good wave.
Wintertime, that's probably going to be my spot.
But I think that just shows, and you know, as a learning expert, you can speak to that if you do something and you repeat it over and over again and you're committed to it, then you're a much better surfer. You know, after these 2 years that I am after 18 years, because it was not focused effort.
We have not surfed together, so I would like to clarify that is not a verifiable fact.
It is for me.
You know what? Actually, you bringing this up, so consistency,
yes,
is my goal. Honestly, actually, and even going back to like the weight loss journey stuff, when I finally decided like, yeah, I want to change my life. I want to feel more fit and capable physically of doing things I've never been able to do in my life. Around that time, I read a book, I'll plug real quick, just called Atomic Habits. And it's a New York Times bestseller by James Clear. I still follow him on Instagram and see and repost his quotes all the time because I love them. But ultimately, I realized I'm like, I got to stop looking at the scale. I've got to stop making those things my goals. The goal is just showing up every day or as close to every day as you can. Like, honestly, we're human. Things come up. Life comes up. Stuff gets in the way. So you're going to miss some days. Cool. Acknowledge that and move on. It's very like the yoga practice or meditation practice of like the thought pops up that distracts you from your breath. Acknowledge it. Let it go. Get back to the breath. So same thing with surfing for me. In the first year, again, because I went out there overstimulated, not knowing what was actually happening in front of me because there was so much going on. I went out there not feeling assertive enough to like paddle for a wave if I wasn't sure. Nobody else was paddling for it. I spent so much time in the water just paddling. But like my back muscles show that now. My paddle strength has gotten up a lot more. And it was all worth it. Like every moment in the ocean, like it was me watching waves and how those broke and like recording data for me to start to learn how to do this better. So it's all added up. And like, I finally feel like I'm coming to a point where like, I'm starting to get a few more waves and learn a few more new techniques and things that I can do that are showing the fruits of that consistency. Just, you have to be able to make that your goal and keep showing up despite it feeling like nothing's changing. And eventually you'll see all of the compounding interest of your effort pay off.
So we were talking about earlier about this, that you are doing Surf 8's Make a Wave challenge, but because you're injured, and let's talk about, what happened there. You have to find different ways of participating.
Yes, yeah. So, did we talk about that on the recording already? That was before we started,
No,
wasn't it?
no, we
Okay.
haven't.
All right. So for Surf Aid, when I can paddle out, I'm doing it, and I love it. Like 30 minutes or more. I've done some sessions that were like double sessions through the day that were 2-3 hours each. But some of the days that I could not paddle out, I would go pick up trash on the beach. I think that's always valuable to care for our oceans and do what we can. I actually encourage everyone, if you're out on the beach, take 3 pieces of trash with you back to the trash cans when you're on your way back. I feel like it's just good karma for the ocean. Aside from that, I've done a lot of surf photography and stuff. That's also been kind of a side passion of mine since I started. I was already a photographer before this, at least as a side hustle. And as soon as I started surfing, I was like, oh, well, I'm going to figure that out, obviously. So doing some filming for my other friends that were participating in the challenge, also doing my safety training renewal with Bragg, I felt like that counted. And helping another friend who had never surfed before kind of get some basics
I saw
done.
the video on Instagram. Was that from this week? Yeah.
And she's another southern girl transplant that moved to California and has been here a little while now and has always dreamed about trying surfing. So was super stoked to help her get on a board for the first time and, just see her face light up. Just realize like I can go in the ocean. And we didn't even get her on any real waves, but just knowing, I mean, even for me, again, it wasn't about even the waves that first session. It was like I stepped into the ocean, was like, here I am. This is where I was supposed to be. It was my Disney princess moment of like, this is everything coming to fruition. This is where I was, my life was leading.
Would you ever want to be a surf coach?
Maybe. Not yet. I'm not qualified yet. But I feel like I could get there. I think one of the things I'm looking at in the nearer term is that ocean safety. Where can I fill the gap for that for some other beginner surfers?
That would be so valuable.
I hope so. That's what I'm going to try to spin that to some people in my local community. Like, look, I've been an instructor for 20 years. I'm just learning the ocean, but I know how to pull the resources and the experts together. And if we can make something available to the community that's really affordable, maybe even free, if we can get the right funding behind it, then I would love, especially at my home beach, which is it's not patrolled by lifeguards. Even though it's the beginner beach where everybody comes for their lessons.
It isn't, right?
It isn't. So I'm like, hey, if we can start offering more ocean safety basics, not even just to surfers, but like families that are going out there playing with their kids way too close to the shore break and their dogs way too close to the shore break, like training them how to spot those risks and how to keep themselves safe and what resources are available in the community, if not lifeguards right there on the beach in case of emergencies.
I spent a lot of time on Reddit, so I can tell you nobody's asking for that. Everybody's asking, what board should I get?
Yeah.
That's the first question.
Yeah.
And it's not even how I should start and should I take a lesson? Everybody's obviously always advising you should absolutely take at least your first lesson.
You know what? I want to plug also so many communities in California, especially have programs. In San Francisco, there's one called City Surf Project. And I know I've talked to some people that there's some, I don't have the names in my brain right now, but there's some down here in SoCal and LA and in Orange County and San Diego too, that will bring kids who maybe don't have the same ocean privilege because they live a little further inland. They don't have parents that'll bring them to the beach and things like that. That does a system where they pick people up and transport them out for some surf lessons that are at free or at cost or things like that, run by volunteers. So to add on to what we were talking about earlier, like there are some resources. Google in your area, if you're within like an hour of the beach, you may have a community program that can help you get there and get some foundations.
I need to get all these community programs into the All Things Surf directory.
Yes.
I have never even thought about that. So I'm going to make a list of this.
Yeah.
But what happened to your shoulder? Because that's what I wanted to talk about. What did you do to yourself?
All right. So I think actually one of the episodes I binged on your podcast in the last day or two.
Nobody has ever binged on that podcast.
Oh, well, I have. I gave you a 5-star review. You should give her a 5-star review, by the way. This is great content, and that's what gets us into the algorithms. So the discussion about foam boards versus hard boards.
Yes.
So I only recently made that transition. I stayed on my foam board for quite a long while, mostly because of that safety focus of like, when I thought about how I would feel if I knew that my board hit somebody and caused a major concussion or worse, that really bothered me. And knowing that I'm going out to a beginner break that does stay very crowded, I wanted to stay on that foam board. And did it limit me in being able to start ripping and doing turns? I don't know, maybe. It also helped me catch more waves and get more repetition and build that paddle strength over time. So I am on hard boards now. But I got injured because of a hardboard hitting me.
No.
Pretty hard. This happened at Pleasure Point in Santa Cruz, which is a crowded break. And no hard feelings. It wasn't, I went back and looked at the Surfline videos. It wasn't that anybody did anything wrong. It's just, this is a dangerous sport. And the ocean is the one in control. And sometimes you're in the wrong spot at the wrong time and bad things happen. So I did get hit by someone else's board. Very lucky. One of the things that I tried to learn very early on was how to wipe out well. So again, aside from the breathing, also always covering my head. Always covering my head and protecting that, trying to hold on to my board as best I could. There are still some of those waves that's like, I don't care how strong you are, nobody's grip strength is holding on to that over the ocean. She's the one in control. But yeah, it wasn't there was nobody I could yell at and be like, why did you do that? No, it's just bad spot, bad time. I got hit. It hurt. But it also didn't hit my head. Nothing broke. I got a strained shoulder and some bruised ribs that I will heal from.
How long is it going to take you to be able to surf properly again?
Properly. So, I mean, I did go out and caught a wave this morning.
You did.
Yeah. But also trying not to push myself too hard. I think that's one of the things, like, the stoke is there. I want to keep going. I want more waves. But my body is like, I want to surf tomorrow too. And that's the thing with all of the safety-minded stuff as well. It's like a lot of people are like super like risk takers, like just go after it, just charge, send it. I can be a little that way. But at the end of the day, like I want to make the decision that's intelligent enough so I will get to continue surfing for as long as possible in my life. And that I won't prohibit anyone else from also being able to surf for as long in their life as they want to.
What foam board were you on for that duration when you were starting out? Starting out.
I went through a couple. I did the initial get a wave storm thing first and just was not having a lot of luck. What I figured out, thanks to some surf coaches, was that an 8-foot wave storm wasn't enough. I again, didn't start out as a very athletic person. I had a lot of strength building that I needed to do, both in my paddle strength and my core strength. So I ended up getting on a 9-foot foamy. The one that I ended up purchasing was an Odyssey log 9-foot board. Yeah. They do have a 10-foot one now as well. So even more literage. But I mean, this was over 100 liters, the board. That was the one that kind of helped me start catching waves. So I got some repetition, could figure out, okay, this is where I need to be to catch this wave. Of course, I could catch things on the shoulder a lot easier on that board too. Eventually, as I tried to start doing more surfing down the line and learning to do some basic turns, I was running into problems with that board. It's so big. It's not really, there are experts who can still get on that board and rip. I couldn't. So I ended up splurging and treating myself. I got a Walden Mega Magic soft top.
I know that one. Yep.
Yeah. And it was expensive. I'm not going to lie. But I could do a 2+1 fin setup. So that made it a lot more possible. And it's a little bit more sophisticated in the design of the bottom. So that allowed me to actually start doing bottom turns a little bit, being able to redirect my board and trim on the wave a little bit more. So that one actually carried me pretty far. Eventually, I ended up going to a Mega Magic hardboard, an 8-foot. That's the one I took to the Mentawise with me. His name is Chris Martin because the whole board is yellow. It's all yellow. So he's named after Coldplay lead singer. Yeah. I'm glad you get the joke. Not everybody does. Do you name all of your boards?
Oh God, no. I'm just
I
thinking.
love naming my boards.
I'm just thinking about telling the story to my husband who cannot stand Coldplay, but for whatever reason, he really likes Chris Martin as a person. So it's totally bizarre. I love it that I only named my car, but because it's a Ford Explorer Eddie Bauer, the car is called Eddie. So
I like it.
but that's pretty much it.
You could have a board named Eddie too for Eddie Haiku.
I could. I name all the mascots of the Wipeout Weekly. So we've got Jaws JJ Jr. So that's the little shark, or what I'm wearing now, it's Olo. So that's the rooster.
Oh.
And it's named after the Olo, the Hawaiian board. But that's it. No, have not named my boards.
All right. I think it's you might be missing out on some fun if you don't name your boards.
I'm pretty sure I am. I need to I need to rethink that. So what's in your quiver now?
So I have my longboard that I am in love with now. It's by a shaper that's local to where I am, Pacifica, California. Sam Bass is the name of the shaper. Mm-hmm. It's a Judah Dune board. It's 9.0. It has a nice wide nose, but a slightly tapered, more sophisticated tail. So again, those turns I can work with. It can do single fin, which is what I've got on it now, but it also has the side fins if I want to do 2+1 for a little more stability. And it's beautiful. He called it the Earth board. I was actually thinking I might want to order a custom longboard. And then he puts this one on Instagram, and the Earth board, the colors are blue, purple, green. The
my
view
favorite colors.
Like the view of Earth from space. And in my head, I just heard the song Across the Universe, the Beatles tune, but the Fiona Apple version. So that board is now named Fiona. The reason he had it listed was because he was trying to make a specific design for a person named Faye. So the board has the name Faye on the bottom of it. So it's Fiona Faye is my board. But
why didn't Faye want her board?
She got the board she ordered. This one was one where still perfect board, just in terms of the paint job. It wasn't quite what she had asked for. Okay. So he got creative and made this gorgeous earth pattern, which is honestly exactly what I would have ordered as a custom. And the dimensions were exactly what I wanted to, what I had in mind. So I'm like, this board was meant to be.
It would have been cheaper as well.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I benefited in multiple ways. And this is why I felt like maybe that was just kismet. This board was meant for me.
Definitely.
So that's the one I've got with me on this trip. Again, because I'm having a little bit of a harder time paddling. That one's my easy paddler. I also just recently got my first mid-length. So stepping down in size a little bit for the steeper waves coming for this winter. It's a Santa Cruz shaper, David Werner. And it has a more pointy nose, but still lots of volume for me. I actually love how well it paddles, and it turns so much easier. So when I actually catch those slightly steeper waves, still a skill I'm working on, I'm going to have so much fun on this board. I've already started to have quite a bit of fun, but
forward to the winter.
I kind of am, especially if this heals. And then
how big is it?
It's a 7.6. Thickness, it's 3.25, so pretty good thick board.
And how much volume?
I believe it's around 50. I don't remember right off the top of my head, but around 50 liters. But yeah, it actually, I can tell a difference between that and my 9-foot, but it's not so substantial that I'm miserable. I've been catching waves on it. I caught waves my first session with it, and I was already like, I can't believe that. Most new boards I had in the first year and a half, it was like, okay, well, this new board, I'm back to being a kook again for at least a few sessions. But in this case, both the 9.0 and the 7.6, my first sessions with each of those boards, I was like, oh my God, I'm still surfing. And then I got another one from another local friend who I met through that beginner surf chat in my area, who is a backyard shaper. And he just sold me his second board he ever shaped, which is a short board, a 5.8. But still, and I don't know the volume. He didn't calculate and put the volume on the stats. But it honestly, I was so excited by my stability paddling this 5.8 short board. I have not Well, no. Okay, I caught 2 waves. I did not get to my feet.
Okay, that's the hardest transition. Not that I know from experience, but I was literally just writing about it and researching it, and what people said on Reddit and in other groups that's the hardest thing that you can do in surfing when you go from, let's say, a longboard or mid-length to a short board. You just get used to not catching waves for a while.
Well, and the feedback that my more experienced friends have given me, like, you're still trying to catch that wave with a longboard mindset. Like, yeah, I can see what you mean. I definitely am. But the only reason I even was looking for a short board was I was like, I just want to start learning the mechanics, the technique of a duck dive. Like, it's fine if I can't surf this board for a long time. I'm going to take it out on some very small, non-critical days where I don't expect to catch any waves. And I'm going to see if I can figure out the right motion, get that muscle memory for a duck dive. Because on a longboard, like, that's the thing. Like, on those bigger winter days, like, getting to the lineup is so hard sometimes when all you can do is turtle roll, and sometimes that's not enough. So I'm like, I'm going to start learning. This guy sold me this board like stupid cheap. Like, I don't think what he asked for even paid for the foam that he used to make the board. And it's so great. He was so generous. So I'm excited to have it. I did better on my first session with it than I thought in terms of paddling. And again, catching 2 waves. I just couldn't get to my feet yet. But I'll keep trying and failing forward. I'll get there eventually.
So when you were, so you got one custom board where you worked with the shaper.
Right.
Right?
Yep.
So what kind of discussion did you have in terms of, like, did the shaper ask all the right questions so you knew that you're going to get where you wanted?
He did, and he actually happened to walk through the door at my local surf shop when I was there talking to my local surf shop about it. So I was like, oh, again, I'm like, sometimes I feel, I don't know if it's just coincidence, but maybe the universe is putting this opportunity in my path. But yeah, we got to talk about, like, so what skills are you working on? What are your goals? And those are probably some of the most important things. They have more knowledge of, like, what you need based on your goals than I do. I'm going to be honest, usually when I'm looking at surfboards, I'm like, oh, that's such a pretty color.
It's a pretty color. It's always a pretty color.
Right. So, like, I needed someone's real perspective on
and they already knew
side.
Where you were surfing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, we worked out that the tree hugger shape was the way to go, and that we were going to go just a little bit thicker than what he normally does for the stock dimensions on it. We didn't change a whole lot else. Again, I wanted a pretty color, so that was the other reason I wanted a custom and not just off the rack. But it came out to be what I wanted. I think there's something about that mental connection to your board of, like, this was made for me. It's got my name under the glassing. And so, yeah, that's my quiver, my babies.
I've got a board like that made just for me, but unfortunately it was made for Bolinas waves, not for Venice breakwater.
That means you've got to come up to Bolinas and surf with me over the winter.
I think, yeah, I could probably do that. Yeah.
All right. Well, let me know. We'll go up there.
I've missed that spot. I really, really have.
Yeah.
I know, being in SoCal here. But you talked about your skills and the things that you wanted to improve on. So I'm curious now, what are your goals for the remainder of this year, for 2026?
Oh, I kind of want to do everything. So that's always my challenge, is like analysis paralysis.
What about this hyper focus we've been talking about?
I do both.
Multitasking hyper focus.
Yeah. So to narrow down, I actually did sign up for my first competition. I'm not taking it that seriously. Yeah. So there is the Women on Waves competition coming up in Capitola, which is basically Santa Cruz. But in October, my sister and I will be doing that competition together in the novice category. I didn't even know there were surf competitions with novice categories,
That's
but
a great
I am
category
so
ever.
excited on that. Yeah. So it is a longboard competition. So we both have to be on boards at least 9 foot. So for that, I just want to have a score. I just want to be able to walk away going, I caught at least one wave and got a number on the board. That'll be amazing. I'm also doing some surf photography for it as well. So, and Capitola is beautiful. So I get to spend the weekend there.
Do you get to wear a jersey?
They will give us rash guards. We'll
Yeah.
have colors like the rash guards to wear out there for identification purposes. I don't think you get to keep them. I don't know about that.
Oh,
but
that's a shame.
But yeah, definitely excited just to have the experience with my friend. Win, lose, or draw, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, I only want to compete with myself and get better than I was last year, and keep learning new skills. I'd love to, within the next year, I haven't done my first cutback yet. I want to do one. The
I
first one's going to be
certainly
messy.
haven't.
I would like to get one within the next few months and actually become competent at it within the next year. And maybe those duck dives, maybe I can get to where I'm executing something adjacent to a duck dive competently. By, I'll work on it a little bit on the smaller days this winter. Maybe by next winter, I can paddle out on the, 6 foot plus days and not die.
Very solid goals. And what about surf trips?
Oh, I love surf trips.
Let's talk about that.
I'm goofy. I want to go to Chicama so bad, but I want to make sure that I'm not going and wasting the trip. Yeah, I went to Indo for the first time this past summer, and it was so fun and such an amazing experience. But my surf skills were not up to the challenge yet. I still got to have fun. There were some closer to begin-termediate waves there that I got to enjoy. But overall, it's that's one of those places you don't get the full picture unless you're able to do all those things I just mentioned I'm hoping to do in the next year. But yeah, Chicama for sure. I one of my other hyperfixation things before I started learning to surf was trying to learn Spanish. So I want to go spend more time in Latin American countries and get to practice my Spanish and my surfing.
Thinking about going maybe to Europe or Australia?
Actually, both of those, if I can. I don't have an unlimited budget. I did quit my day job a few months ago to become a full-time terrible surfer. A full-time girl who can't surf so good. But with that, actually, my partner's from Australia. So if we go visit family, I'm sure I'm going to make him take me by a few surf breaks, maybe go to Byron Bay or something like that. Noosa is closer to where the in-laws live. And then in terms of Europe, I went to Portugal last year and loved it. So I would jump if I had the chance come up to go back to Portugal again.
That would be amazing. I kind of want to go to Scotland and to Ireland to look at waves. I don't want to surf them, but because I've been writing about them and reading about them, I would just love to see what they look like.
Yeah, for sure. Someone told me, oh, you should go to Ireland to surf because the waves are less crowded and you're already used to cold water.
Here you go.
I feel like I could make it there. Maybe.
Do you feel different about surfing now than, when you were starting out?
I guess you'd have to. Would I have learned anything if I didn't? Yeah, there's been lessons all along the way. I don't feel different in terms of my level of stoke. That has not changed. That's increased, Do I feel different about my capabilities in surfing since I started? Yeah, for sure. The evidence of little improvements that I never thought that I'd be physically capable of that have happened has been shocking to me, honestly. I would put this out there to anyone who is like I was in the beginning, who's starting out with I'm not an athlete and I'm not strong and I don't have the, I paddle for 10 minutes and I feel like I'm going to die and I can't quite get to my feet except, in 6 steps and it's super slow and sloppy. Keep doing it. Stay consistent. Keep showing up. It gets better. Your body's going to adapt. The human body's insane. What it's capable of is incredible. So there's so many things that I can do today that I'm like, me from 4 years ago would not even believe this.
Do you regret not starting earlier? Just because I saw it on your Instagram and you were talking about how your weight was basically keeping you from doing certain things, and you believe that if you'd be advising anybody else, you would not want them to think that.
My regret is spending too much time believing the idea that I wasn't capable because of my weight and because of the fitness status that I was in. Had I have started earlier, I don't know that I would have gotten to a point of being as unhealthy as I was. I also have rheumatoid arthritis. I have an autoimmune condition. So like I'd had all these things that had like limited my mobility and gotten me in this mindset of it's never going to get better. This is just what I'm stuck with. And now I know that's not true because the changes added up over time, but it took so long. And if I hadn't made consistency and just showing up the goal rather than, hey, I went from lifting the 5-pound weights to the, 45-pound weights, or, the number on the scale dropped by 100 pounds or anything like that. Wow. Like that's what's made all the difference is just, I didn't believe that it was capable for me or that I was capable or that it was possible for me. And now I know that that was wrong. And I wish that I'd been open-minded to believing that that was possible earlier.
I also saw it on your Instagram, you asking about the most surprising thing that people found about surfing.
Yeah.
Did you get any responses so far?
I've gotten a few. And I think that the amount of athleticism it takes was a common one that people put back. I think some people were pretty surprised by surf culture and some of the aggro attitudes and things like that. Trying to remember if anything else stood out. Probably how expensive it can get when you start wanting all the new boards and lessons and surf trips and all of that. Like it's got the reputation of it's a free sport. Once you get the board, you just go to the water and it's free. Well, you got to pay for parking or state parking passes and things too.
It can be cheap if you live in Hawaii, not that far from the break, if you can cycle to your surf break. Yeah. If somebody gives you a board, sure. But it keeps adding up, unfortunately.
I think of all the people still living in landlocked areas that I know surf wave pools are getting more popular, but they're still not accessible everywhere. So
have you tried one?
I have. I've tried like the riverbore style wave. There's one called Waikai in Oahu. It's different than surfing. I've actually been told, I've never been snowboarding, but I've been told that it's a lot more like snowboarding in terms of how you have to distribute your weight to stay on the wave. And I did get to go to Surf Ranch.
Ooh.
That's my beginner flex. And it was kind of like going to the Mentawais of like, I probably would have enjoyed this more if I was a better surfer, but it was still an amazing experience. And I'm glad I did it. I spent too much money on it, but
worth it though, right?
Somebody commented on my post about that, like, for the amount of money that cost, you could have gone to Indo for a month. But at the time, working my day job that I was burning myself out at, it's like, well, no, I couldn't. I could spend this money and go for 2 days. I couldn't go to it for a month to somewhere else. So I got the number of probably approximately the number of waves that I could have gotten Indo in a month at my skill level there. I got those at the Surf Ranch in 2 days. So no regrets, I guess.
Is there anything that you would like all the beginner surfers to know when they're getting into surfing? Like one piece of wisdom.
There are so many to just pick
okay,
one.
Well then let's just rattle through them. All these pieces of wisdom.
I think for me the ocean safety would be the first thing. Ocean safety, surf etiquette, understanding how to read waves and how waves break, like understanding how the ocean works. I guess it's part of ocean safety, but those are all foundational skills that you really need to know to be able to learn to surf and to do it in a safe and fun manner for everyone. And again, this is not a but, this is an and. With that, we all have a right to be in the ocean. Whatever your abilities, physically or otherwise, there's this amazing connection, this amazing thing that happens for many of us. I've been shocked by not everybody tries surfing and loves it. Like, okay, all right. That was one of the things that surprised me. Honestly, it was like sending friends to and my partner to surf lessons and them not loving it the same way that I do. But
I haven't met a person who had a lesson and didn't like it.
I wonder if they just went out in the wrong conditions.
Could be.
I've wondered that. But yeah, I have had a few people that were like, man, you're so passionate about this. Okay, I'm going to try it. Wow, that was not for me.
Do you want to know mine?
Yeah.
I got two. One is you need to know that this is going to be the most frustrating thing that you will ever do in your life.
100%.
And two, do not be like me and don't get fixated on your pop-up. Because the pop-up will happen.
Yeah.
As long as you don't make it a thing.
I agree. And I've heard this advice from some coaches and from some others, like, start out body surfing, start out boogie boarding. I didn't, but that was because I didn't know to try to start there. I didn't have anybody guiding me in that way. I just went and signed up for a surf lesson. So I actually went body surfing last night for a brief moment with my friend for the Make a Wave challenge. That was our other alternative. I didn't know if I could paddle on a board. I was like, well, this side works. I'll body surf on my right. So we did that last night and it was so fun. And there were a bunch of Groms out there and they were like, their attitudes, they were so stoked out there on their boogie boards too. So super fun time. Yeah. If you're not sure where to start, get somebody to show you how to body surf safely.
That's exactly how I would do it if I was starting again. And I think I mentioned it before on another podcast that's how Surf Simply teaches people.
I think it makes sense because again, the ocean knowledge being one of the things that's not intuitive if you didn't grow up around the ocean, but is critical to being able to learn to surf. That's a great way to get it. You're in the water. Mother Ocean is playing with you and tumbling you and throwing you around like a toddler and you're giggling and being tickled and
but she loves you.
But
she really does.
We're designed for that connection with water. I really believe that. Like there's so many neuroscience studies and things about the way our brains and bodies react when we're close to water.
Well, don't we spend 9 months in the water to start with?
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah.
Tiffany, thank you so much.
Thank you. This has been so fun.
No, this was beyond fun. Beyond fun.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad. I know we talked about this a while ago and we're going to do it remotely. And I was like, wait,
this is way better.
I think I'm going to have a reason to come to SoCal. Let's do this in person.
Way better.
So,
and just before we sign off, let our listeners know how they can get in touch with you.
Absolutely. So on Instagram, I actually do have 2 accounts, but I am at midlife_surfista. And I also have one called Surfista Productions, specifically for the photography and videography that I do. But absolutely reach out to me, DM me. Love to connect with people. Love it when people send me questions. It's like I made a lot of mistakes along the way. If I can save you a few beats and share some of the knowledge I gained along with you, then I love to do it.
And that's all for today. Check out the Wi-Fi Weekly for our free newsletter, more stories and ways to connect with us. Thanks for listening. See you tomorrow for more of the Wi-Fi Weekly.